greeting everyone. The wait is over now, and thank you for joining this webinar. I'm glad to see all the participants across the globe, and we have fantastic speakers over here. So we have three speakers who will give their logistics insights to us. So first we have Mr. Mahdi Al-Olabi. He is founder and CEO of R2S Logistics, and he has more than 20 years of experience in e-commerce operations. And the next up is Mr. Ahmed Helmi. He is co-founder and CEO of Reverse Delivery. He has over 19 plus years of experience in the industry and in the international shipping operations and supply chain. And also we have Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, the founder and CEO of MA Anderson. He is also having more than 18 plus years of experience in logistics landscape, and he has exceptional track record of his success in the industry. So our agenda of the webinar is, as you all know, future of logistics. We'll be talking about technology trends, and we'll be also talking about some emerging tech opportunities in logistics industry, and we'll talk about the government norms. So I would like to give mic to the host of the webinar, Dr. Saif Awad. So please.
Thank you, Anjali. First of all, allow me to thank all of our guests today, our speakers. No matter how much we can say about them, it's not gonna be enough. Mr. Mahdi, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, and Mr. Ahmed Helmi, thank you so much for joining us today. Even some of you had some technical issues, but you were able to join. So I really thank you for this. And we look forward to hear more from your experience and your knowledge about the industry and the region. So let's start. Our first subject is about opportunities. You see, this field for the past 20 years have been developing year after year, and there has been so many opportunities. Some say that these opportunities are becoming more and more, and some others say that it is shrinking. So I would like to start with Mr. Mahdi. What is your point of view on this? Like, what are the opportunities you are seeing in the field, especially in the MENA region and the GCC region in specific, worldwide in general, but specifically in the MENA region and the GCC region? Please.
Thank you, Saif. Thank you, Logix Grid, for this wonderful webinar. Welcome to your esteemed speakers. First of all, definitely our region is going through a digital transformation in general. It's been going through that for the last decade or so, and will continue to do that. And it's probably a region that is behind some of the other regions in the world in that. So we're seeing a lot of innovation in technology, in terms of fintech, in terms of the government going digital. And as a result, obviously, our retail is going digital, hence e-commerce. So the opportunity is that e-commerce still represents less than 5% in most of the MENA region countries. So it still represents a very, very small percentage of the consumer habit, which only means it can grow further and further. We also all know the booster shot that digital transformation received during the COVID years. And that adopted a lot of consumers that were shy or uncomfortable in dealing with digital transformation or e-commerce or digital transactions to adopt these methods. As a result, we saw almost an increase in adoption or in growth year over year during the COVID years, from about 35% year over year here in Egypt to about 100% year over year during the COVID Yes, it went down a bit after COVID, yet the people that were adopted continue to remain users. We're seeing in every market adoption of digital transformation. In that market in itself comes in different levels. You have the major cities, then you have the tier 2 cities, then you have the tier 3 cities. So here in Egypt, I'm sure it's the same in Saudi Arabia and probably the Emirates. You have the capitals, you have the big cities that you have over about 60-70% of your customers or your population very comfortable with digital transformation. But yet when you start going towards the rural areas, the less developed areas, this percentage is less, but it's growing. It's growing at a very high pace due to a young population, due to mobile penetration, and so on and so forth. So we could talk for the whole webinar about opportunities.
Mr. Mahdi, I'm sorry to interrupt. So in a nutshell, what are the 3 most opportunities you see in this field?
Number one is I think there is a lot of routing and address enhancement that in logistics that will save a lot of operations, make it more accurate. Reverse logistics, this is very, very important, and it's the big pain in our region. And as well, the transformation of social sellers into more mature e-commerce sellers.
Understood. Very insightful, Mr. Mahdi. Now, I would like to move to Mr. Ahmed Hilmi. Mr. Ahmed Hilmi, you are joining us from UAE, am I correct? So now the question is, I'm going to ask you the same question with, the region is different. You see in Egypt and UAE, the whole demography is different. So do you think that same opportunities apply in UAE and the GCC region, as same as Mr. Mahdi was approaching these aspects in Egypt and the area?
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity of attending the webinar here. In the UAE, we see that the trend is going as more companies are emerging, especially if you look 10 years back, all right, you will see that there will be only tier 1 and maybe tier 2 companies are in the market, and they operate in a very small geography, either in the local market or maybe capturing 2 other international markets. While with the emerging of new companies and the know-how, right, and technology support, you would see here that there is more collaboration between companies in terms of utilization of capacity, and also same digital platforms are being used across. So you can say it's a unified, all right, language between companies. The opportunities here in the market is still last mile had been growing so much in the market here. Some big players entered in the market. Still, the market can accommodate small and medium companies. And cross-border is one of the booming sectors in the industry, especially for SMEs. All e-commerce players, they go more for international shipping, especially the region here in the GCC. It's easy to ship between each country, and also unified customs regulations. All right, it helps a lot to make this easier. Maybe I see that also the rest, or the Levant, all right, is catching up in the international e-commerce, all right, while still there is a constraint in the customs regulations, especially when it comes to the customer himself, not us as companies. There is a lot of regulations that needs to be simplified in order that the customer can have his total cost Still, I see a big scope, especially between the GCC and the Levant countries and the rest of North Africa. I believe that Levant is saturated with the last mile, and it's about time to start the international cross-border logistics.
That is really nice. So again, same question. Could you just sum up 3 main opportunities you are seeing in the region? Cross-border, that's the one thing you just mentioned.
Yes.
What other opportunities?
We see here the different modes of shipping. So we see consolidation and then break bulk and then moving as e-commerce. So you see that there is multiple modes of shipping comes for the same shipment. We have here bulk imports from China that comes to the free zone, and then we break the bulk and then we push it as e-commerce. So break bulk is one of the opportunities that had been there, but now it's growing more and more as customers have become more aware of the logistics and supply chain and how they can do proper cost management.
If I understand, if I understand correctly what you are saying, and if I can summarize it so I can actually move this question to Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim. So what you are saying now that in general, the future is, or the opportunities is for the people who are more flexible and more capable to move with the market demand, regardless what it is. They need to keep changing and upgrading their services to fit for that specific market demand. Is that what you were trying to say? Am I correct?
Definitely yes, and also the know-how. This doesn't come easy. It requires a lot of know-how, and this will keep growing.
Understood. Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Saif. How are you?
That's great. Thank you for joining. I know that you are having some hardware issues. This is why you were unable to activate your video. So thank you for joining under such circumstances. So let's just proceed with the same flow that Mr. Mahdi and Mr. Ahmed started. So we were talking about the opportunities and how people, you see, in the past, it used to be like, if you are having big number of couriers, big number of assets, you will be a very good logistics company. Nowadays, we are seeing big logistics companies and they don't even have one courier with them. They don't have any assets. They are just running their business based on such opportunities that have been actually discussed. So what do you think about that?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Saif, and thank the logic market of logistics, and as well a strategic geographical location that centers the GCC between Africa, Asia, as well as Europe. Opportunity for the e-commerce industry because it's the hot topic right now. So this is a big potential for the growth, as well as transformation from the digital, from the manual way or the old way of doing the business to the digital way by Internet of Things, as well as the artificial intelligence inside the industry of the logistics, which will save a lot of time and will process a lot of transactions in a very short time. All of those are affecting the way that logistics is right now developing or approaching.
Okay, so gentlemen, I think we are receiving so many questions, so I would request you to please keep sending your questions. Our team in the back end are noting all of your questions, and we will be opening the space to the maximum limit of attendees to ask all of their questions. So please be patient, and as soon as, you know, at the end of this webinar, like the last 15 to 30 minutes, we will be taking all of your questions, and our team will be able to actually convey those messages to speakers, and they will be answering your questions. Kindly, if you want to ask a specific question to someone specific, one of our speakers, please mention their name so we can actually address that. Okay, Mr. Mahdi.
Yes, Saif.
Do you agree with all of these aspects? Because you see, we need to move forward. So just, you have 2 minutes. Please tell me, do you agree with all of these aspects? Would you like to add anything before we move to the next point?
No, definitely. I concur with what the colleague said. Cross-border has huge potential in the region. My colleague said exactly the right thing, is that it's more relaxed in terms of regulations in the GCC, especially of coming in. Egypt has a challenge with cross-border in right now, and cross-border out is still not very mature. I can see it developing in the next 2 years as outbound. And I can see that there's going to be collaboration between the regional countries in terms of product exchange, and that's going to bring a lot of transactions and revenue. And definitely technology, logistics is all about cost and time. So 2 things drive it: customer demand and cost of operation. So whenever these put more pressures on the business, technology comes in to help and to try to innovate and find better products to make things cheaper and faster and more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahdi. Mr. Ahmed Helmi, would you like to add anything within the next 2-3 minutes?
Apparently,
Please.
I would like to see, as Mr. Mahdi mentioned, I would like to see Egypt is more flexible in terms of customs regulation, especially for inbound. There is a lot of potential from the GCC to Egypt, and I believe this also will support a lot the market over there when it comes to last mile operations. And I hope also this happens to the rest of the of North Africa, because it will help us to have more market penetration. We currently operate in GCC, and we have some other countries in other continents. While it's a big market for Egypt and the rest of North Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, are you able to hear me now? Okay, I believe Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim is having an internet connection. So, okay, let's just move forward with this. So we have summarized all of this, but Mr. Ahmed Helmi have mentioned some very important topic. You were saying that in customs, there's a unified customs in the GCC region. So what do you think that the government can do to enhance the experience and enrich such points or such logistics aspects for businesses? Because you see, you were talking about that how good it is to have this kind of unified customs all over the GCC region, how we can increase it, what other things and aspects can be done. And of course, I would like to hear more about this, what the government can do to enhance, or what would you like to see in the future, or if you know about any new things that is on the way, please.
Okay, so in the GCC, as per the nature of the Gulf Council countries, custom duties percentage, and it's unified at 5%, and then it comes over the VAT, which was introduced in the Gulf starting 2018. Clearance is for de minimis value shipments, which are the e-commerce shipments. It's pretty much streamlined, well streamlined across all the GCC. You have certain thresholds of shipment value, that below this value there is no duties. There will be either VAT. Some countries in the GCC doesn't have VAT, similar to Qatar and Kuwait. Then it comes here in the UAE. You have the blockchain is in place since 2016, and you can see clearly that the customs have been going paperless every day more and more. I can submit an export bill of I can do a bill of exit or a bill of entry online, and then there is no papers. You submit to customs online, you receive approvals online, and this helps a lot, especially in the courier. There is no manual work, just maybe inspection in the airport, and this is also happening fast. And this is unified across the Gulf. Also, the part of the government that's supporting this is some bilateral partnership that happens. Especially in the UAE, you will see some partnerships between UAE and other countries that give them privileges for their imports. And the free zones that are existing here, regulations are streamlined. You can easily operate. So you have 16 free zones. Some of them are fenceless free zones, some of them are not, and each one has its own advantages depending on your business. And then all of these is easy. You can export a shipment from one free zone to another free zone with just 2 minutes data entry. This all helps a lot. Also, in exporting between countries is the same, either for e-commerce shipments or even for bulk shipments, trucking. This also a big benefit between countries, borders. GCC is all connected by trucking, so this also helps a lot. Maybe it's a bit disadvantage for the airlines, while it's a big advantage for the logistics to offer customers more solutions. And now the government is also supporting this with the rail. So you can see in the UAE the rail, Ittihad Rail is already done, and they are optimistic. You have around 900 kilometers is already done across all UAE, connecting to Saudi and connecting to Oman. And there is a lot of potential of this coming, not maybe this year or next year, but you would see this helping a lot.
Understood. Thank you so much for elaborating this. Before moving to Mr. Mahdi, I would like to mention that this webinar, this whole event, has been sponsored by LogicsGrid. It's a software ERP business that is based in Canada. It offers a full solution for all aspects of logistics. So if you want some centralized solution for your logistics management, LogicsGrid is one solution that is sponsoring this webinar. Mr. Mahdi, before moving to questions, you see, in the past 3-4 years, the Egyptian government has worked on streamlining so many aspects of this business. Could you please tell us what kind of things have changed in the past 3 years, and where are we going? How this is going to benefit the business, especially in Egypt, because it's a highly growing country and many people would like to invest. Many of our attendees here would like to know more about Egypt and how the government is actually supporting this business and what kind of change that happened in the past few years.
Okay, sure. Like I said earlier, the government's been pursuing a digital transformation strategy for about 10 years. For the last 5, it's been moving much faster. I think one is digitizing all governmental services, as most countries now have done or are doing. The next thing is fintech solutions with all forms of payment solutions and payment acceptance. Obviously, we're a country of almost 100 million people and very cash-based. So there is a lot of wallet penetration now, maybe more than card penetration. Most of the banks are using digital technologies for accessibility and so on. I just read a report that there's over 300 fintech companies and startups currently operating in Egypt, and they're all licensed by the central bank and in cooperation with a local bank here in Egypt. So once you have digital payments, you automatically have more conversion of e-commerce. E-commerce, one of the challenges of it growing is payments. So cash on delivery is great. It's an alternative solution, yet it's not sustainable. It's very costly. There's a lot of challenges in it. So the more people are used to digital payments, the more people are going to buy online. Other things that help our business as e-commerce, we can for sure see that on the infrastructure side, there's been a lot of development in Egypt over the last 10 years in terms of the highway structure and the road structure and so on. So enabled to reach points from A to B. Congestion was a big issue in the major cities such as Cairo and Giza. This is not as much the case. So with the increase in e-commerce and the millions of shipments that are being delivered every month, this is making things easier. On the cross-border side, the issue with cross-border is related to the issue of hard currency and foreign currency shortage in Egypt. So Egypt has been making it more and more difficult to import, whether through e-commerce or non-e-commerce. This is a double-edged sword. It obviously makes it more difficult for consumers to access products from abroad, whether from the States or Europe or even the GCC. But at the same time, we've seen a whole renaissance of Egyptian manufacturing that had disintegrated or died down in the last years due to imports in areas and categories such as fashion and textiles and apparel and cosmetics and health and beauty and home accessories and carpets and a lot of things that Egypt has the raw materials and has the technical knowledge of
Yeah, but
manufacturing. And I
allow
believe
me to interrupt.
these brands and these
That kind
products
of
will be.
decrease. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That kind of decrease, so many see it as an opportunity. Like these companies that left, they have opened a lot of opportunities for logistics and for other businesses to actually flourish. Do you agree with that or not? Please.
I'm talking about the imported brands that became less and less and more expensive in the Egyptian market. The local brands have now become stronger. They are competing more. They are selling to the consumers, and very soon, and more and more Egyptian brands right now are seeking a solution to export. So, with my colleagues here from Saudi and Dubai, it would be wonderful to build a network outbound from Egypt. There's a lot of great products, and Egypt is now price-wise very competitive to any market in the world due to the currency. So there is a lot of great products to be exported from Egypt to Saudi, to UAE, to other markets that are competitive to Turkish products, European products, and so on and so forth. So that's the opportunity. One of the opportunities I see as a win from the limitation of imports or the lack of cross-border inbound is the birth of cross-border outbound. But it's still in its very early stages.
Yes, I personally agree with you. Okay, I'm having some questions from our attendees. So one question we are having here. You see, what about warehousing and fulfillment? Like no one has mentioned it. This topic was a hot topic, a big trend at some time, especially in Egypt and GCC region, and no one is talking about right now. So where are we with that? Is it gone because of more automation is happening, or it is flourishing somewhere? Could you please, Mr. Ahmed Helmi, could you please, because this is also part of your experience, so could you please give us an insight on this front, please?
Yes. No, it is growing, and it's you can see this clearly in the market. Warehouses are turning to be more fulfillment centers, and this is due to a couple of reasons. That when initially the big marketplaces such as Amazon and such as Noon, they started their operation, and then there is a lot of SMEs, they want to start their business, and then they use the fulfillment, and it's growing. You see this happening a lot. They are flexible in terms of space and scalability of the business. Some of them started to implement technologies, okay, which are the basic technologies such as WMS, and also they collaborate with courier companies for last mile and for cross border. In terms of automation, the GCC automation doesn't come on minimizing labor. It makes labor operate more professionally in operations. So you can use the labor better, all right, and you have less mistakes. And this is due to the labor cost still in the Gulf. It's not high, same as Europe and other parts of the world. So automation is happening, while it's not at the same pace of the other parts of the world. And the fulfillment, they support a lot us as courier companies, because they have the business there, and you can also talk the same language with them when it comes to logistics. SMEs, the challenge with them that they don't know much of the regulations, like shipping perfumes, for example. If I'm just I'm a person who want to start any business, and I found that perfumes is a good business. They don't calculate the cost of shipping. One perfume is considered as a dangerous good, and it has a higher cost. And this is how fulfillment centers is support our business as courier companies.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, as we said, he had an internet connection, and he is unable to continue this webinar with us. But we look forward to see him in future webinars with us. Okay, Mr. Mahdi, there is one important topic that I personally like: technology. And since we are talking about automation and technology, you see, in the past, logistics were not affected by any kind of technology. You can have a $1 billion company that is running without a system 20 years ago. Now, like a few years back, logistics and softwares and technology, they go side by side. And some saying that 2021, 2022, and even 2023, technology is shaping logistics as we move forward, and it will keep reshaping it based on what technology we have. So we have a reverse situation here, from a supporting part to a major part that is reshaping the whole industry. So what kind of comments do you have on that aspect, and what kind of opportunities you see there? And or challenges, of course.
Well, let's just say that retail and logistics both had to go through a transformation when e-commerce came. You never had in warehousing or fulfillment centers for traditional retail this number of transactions per day, this accuracy that is needed, the speed of fulfillment and preparation of a shipment that is needed ever before. At the same time, once the shipment is prepared, it needs to get to its destination. And this could involve being on a truck, being on a plane, being on a boat, being on a van, being on a bike. And this is a lot of complications. And we see shipments not going from city to city, or within the same city, we see shipments going from one side of the world to another. So obviously technology is what's driving all of that, from the website and the customer experience and the decision to buy, to and digital marketing, which is what acquires the customer, and that's the technology, another industry that got changed with e-commerce, to payments, to logistics. These are all impact, and we're far from being done in innovation. We now see AI and machine learning being engaged in everything that we do, and this is going to add another level of solutions that we weren't used to before. If you look at the classical courier company, maybe 15 years ago, that was working in documents and post and so on, you can't say that it wasn't working with technology at all. I'm sure they had some certain technology, but it didn't need the sophistication and the speed and the real-time tracking and so on that a business needs today for e-commerce. Today, when a shipment is delayed by one day, it's a huge dilemma for the customer and for the merchant. So every transaction counts and every shipment counts. And in order to be able to do that in an efficient way, as well as to provide a great delivery experience or fulfillment experience or whatever service experience that you are doing, you have to have good technology at the back end and a good user UI, UX, or user experience on the front end.
I think no one can say it better, actually. Thank you for such elaboration. So okay, let's just start answering some questions. To be honest, there are hundreds of questions are dropping in here, so I'll ask a question to Mr. Ahmed Helmi. There's one question related to UAE, actually. Could you please highlight the key challenges in the e-commerce reverse logistics in UAE? The mic is yours.
Okay. If you talk in the reverse logistics in the UAE, there is no major issues within challenges. I mean, within the local market, it's purely streamlined. Customers here, they return the orders. The challenge is sometimes for cross-border returns, and the challenge is with customs in terms of returning these shipments. It's a technical point, returning these shipments and not paying the VAT and the duties for these shipments. And I believe there is some mode of shipping that support this, as if you export the shipments by air and then you return it back to the same port or to the same airport, then you can easily clear it. While most of the cross-border returns are bulk, and then it's as it returns, so it's a cost on the merchant himself. So they want to do to reduce the cost as much as they can. And land borders are not yet up to the scale of clearing these shipments as return shipments. The second challenge comes in the number of returns. All right, people here, when you deliver a shipment, you can do a left door, okay. While when you return a shipment, it's about having the proper timing of the courier receiving the shipment from the end user itself. Some customers start asking for QC while picking up, while QC is too hard to achieve while picking up. We currently do only a verification for the item number or whatever the merchant requests. But then there is a lot of returns happening because customers can order 3 items, they return it, and as Mr. Mahdi mentioned, fintech plays a big role in this, in refunds. So you can see refunds is growing on the same scale of e-commerce growing. I believe it's as a rough figure, it contributes around 3 to 4% returns and it is increasing.
Understood. That is, yeah. I think, Mr. Mahdi, do you agree with that? With those specific points?
I think the more people buy, people are going to return. So if you're doing 1 million transactions a month, your return percentage might be the same. It's going to be whether 3% or 10%, it depends on category. But the more you sell and the more shipments are in the market, the more returns are in the market. This is just common sense. The way is how to reduce the cost of returns, because globally, the cost of processing a return can cost a company between 3x and 17x the cost of a forward delivery shipment. So it's a huge burden on the seller, sometimes on the customer, as well on the cost of logistics. Who's going to bear that cost? So the more creative and more efficient ways, of course, using technology, that returns can be executed. And that's why we see options, مثلا retailers offering customers, if you want to do a return, come to our store in the mall. This is one thing. We see drop-off points. We see drop-off lockers. We see different options that are being presented to the consumer to make the return, in order to make it as efficient. The refund also, getting your money electronically or in your wallet or in your account instead of getting it cash. Obviously, in Egypt, we still have some cash refunds. I don't know, probably not in the GCC, or maybe. All of these things, it is a difficult process, but it's a very important part of the customer experience that you can't ignore it, because it could ruin and make you lose the customer for that brand for more conversion in the future. So you can't ignore it as a merchant. You have to give it some attention, and it could represent anywhere from 3 to 10% of your business. So that's not little.
So basically, what you are saying, Mr. Mahdi, that we are still having the same challenges that we were facing for the past 4 or 5 years. It's the SCOD, the return management, and how to collect or return those cash or shipments, how to store them and to give them back to the e-commerce. These are the main challenges that are facing the region, and I believe from those challenges, opportunities can come. Do you agree with that?
I think from a cost perspective, returns management is a global problem. Maybe in more mature markets, they have more options for the customer that we don't have in the region here, but more and more brands are focusing on streamlining that process. But yeah, it is more problematic for a return than it is for a forward delivery. There's the inspection part, there's the fraud element, there's a refund element, there's sometimes an exchange element. So it's not a straightforward process, and it takes time, and the customer is always very impatient.
Understood. Mr. Ahmed, I'm having one question. How can smaller businesses or startups enter the logistics space and compete effectively with established players? I believe you are the best person to answer this question.
There is a scope, because you see the supply chain now, or the logistics, had been split. Some companies are acting as last mile. Some companies, they more focus on international operations. Some companies, they focus on e-commerce, or maybe on B2B. So I believe that the most important thing in logistics is the know-how. It is an industry. It's not a trading business. So it requires know-how. And also the most challenging part in logistics, that your cost is just as mostly it's an overhead cost. So you don't feel it in the beginning. So you need to be wise about how you're going to manage your cost, because you don't have anything in front of this cost. Like maybe if you do e-commerce, you will buy stock with this amount, but in logistics, it's not like that. it's a running cost every day, and you have to be careful about it. But there is always a scope for it.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Mahdi, you see, you are
Sorry,
very much.
to add one thing.
Please.
You cannot compete with the big players. You can collaborate with them. So basically, this is what we do. We collaborate as small and medium companies together. Each one has his own strength, and there is trust in this business that should be maintained, because the data is exposed, information is exposed, so there should be trust between this. And for big players, you collaborate with them, and you rely on their network sometimes. So you cannot compete, because it's a network-based industry. You cannot cover the whole world, and you need to serve it at a certain point. So it's more of a collaboration.
Definitely, definitely. Well said, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you. Mr. Mahdi, you are well known of revolutionizing so many aspects of the e-commerce, or how e-commerce are conducting their last mile deliveries and pickups. Could you please tell us more about that experience?
I didn't revolutionize anything. That's not.
You did. You did.
Not
You
true.
see, you are very much humble. You have input so many new things to that field.
I think the difference between new companies and new startups in last mile, and like I told you a little while ago, the classical companies, is technology and how they do things. I mean, in the past, people were delivering documents and letters. Now they're delivering parcels and boxes and furniture and stoves and TVs. So the fleet has changed. The type of people that changed. The way the warehouses look and fulfillment center has changed. And I think. Like I said earlier, also the market drives you for innovation. So, for example, if fuel prices go up and continue to go up, and they're not coming down, then your cost is going up. So you have to find a cheaper way and a shorter way to deliver the goods. If labor goes up, then you have to use some kind of automation or some kind of technology to reduce the manpower that you're doing. If you can use any kind of chatbots and stuff for your customer service instead of people on the phone, this is going to make it more efficient. Unfortunately, last mile is one of the things that are mandatory for e-commerce business. E-commerce cannot be executed without it, yet nobody wants to pay for it. So that's a very interesting challenge. So it's very price competitive. It's a low margin industry, but it's a huge industry. It's a game of volumes. So the more you offer something different and something unique and something new, then your competitor, whether it's a startup or a big global player, the more you're going to be able to win market share and give a nice experience. And in the past, logistics is a very big umbrella. You saw big, huge companies do domestic and freight and clearance and sea and all of that. Nobody does that anymore. So when you pick your niche or you pick your area of expertise or what you want to specialize in, and you try to make the best out of it. So if you're a last mile operator, try to be the best last mile operator company that you can be. If you're a fulfillment company, try to have the most flexible system and the most customer friendly technology to integrate with merchants and with different shipping companies and so on and so forth. So
to mention, Mr. Mahdi, since you mentioned the system, just to mention, you are using Logix Grid as your system, right?
Yes, we've been using Logix since 2017, so quite some time now, and we've seen the system come a long way in its development in terms of what it offers and what it can do and so on and so forth. And we use it to integrate with large customers that we're working in, like the Azadia Group, like the Zara and Inditex and so on. big global brands as well as local brands and social sellers. So definitely it's helped us get to where we want and give the good delivery experience that we hope to give to our customers.
Thank you, Mr. Mahdi. Thank you so much. We are coming up to the end of this webinar. So I would like to ask Mr. Ahmed Helmi if he have any few words he would like to add, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes maximum, please. Go ahead if you would like to add anything before we close.
Thank you, Saif. I would like to add that technology plays a big role. And as Mr. Mahdi, he flagged a valid point. No one wants to pay for it. While still, you can see clearly that customers who want to scale up their business, they will suffer with these manual companies because there is a lot of losses that they can incur and missing items and missing cash CODs. So we always sell our technology as part of as a vital part of our business. And also as I'm using Logix Grid, we always show the customer what we are doing and how we monitor our business from the time the airway bill is created till the time it's delivered and we reconcile COD. So technology will keep supporting this industry, and we will be relying more and more. And I'd love to see Logix Grid as always giving more updates and giving more features to us that will support our business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Mahdi, any last words before we end this? Would you like to add anything?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I'm thanking you all for this opportunity and the great conversation. I think the MENA market in e-commerce is a very up-and-coming market. I think it's interesting to have three different companies from the MENA region, from three different markets, all using one platform, and this could open the door to very interesting cooperation across countries. And I'm sure that we all have customers that want to penetrate each other's markets. So this is very positive, and I think logistics is one of the areas that is usually misunderstood to the seller and to the merchant. So when you have a good, reliable partner that knows to explain to you what they're going to offer you as a service, the customer really appreciates that, to understand the details of how you go into doing about your work and what you can do and you cannot do, and hence why you're charged a fair price for it. So I definitely we're going through some challenging times with the global crisis that is happening, but still e-commerce is doing better than many other sectors in the market, and that's a healthy thing. And hopefully we all have a great second half of the year and close this year on a successful note.
All hope for that. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. It was a pleasure having you today, and we look forward to having you in the future too. Mr. Mahdi, Mr. Ahmed Helmi, thank you for attending this webinar and to adding from your experiences to our base of knowledge. I would like to thank all attendees who attended, and I apologize to all of them since we were unable to answer all of your questions. But by all means, you can always contact our Logix Grid team, and they will be able to provide you with the maximum information or answers possible. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.